Good. Yeah. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Welcome into the Dragon's Den. My apologies for being slightly late. A little tied up with work and things after work. But hey there, Free Heathen. Hey, Timor. How's it going? For those of you new here, I am a 3D printing variety streamer on Twitch. I do cross-post all my videos over to YouTube as well. I do everything from printer unboxings like the X1Cs here from Bamboo Lab to a printer that you can't see because there's another one right behind me, to doing full-up printer builds like the Vorons. I do weird things like riffs and prototypes and beta tests, which was kind of what I was doing some tonight, was working with the automated folks while they're still in town. And what we're going to be working on today is starting to take things off of this. So might be a little bit hard to see. I'll grab the other camera over here. And we'll see if we can't play director off to the side here. So this is Mercury Rising. This is my Ender 5 that was converted to the ZeroG Mercury 1. And this is the printer that we're working on rebuilding right now. We've got it sitting on top of the Nebula frame down here. So this is the new custom built frame for this printer. And this printer is purposely at a slight angle sitting on here because this frame is wider than the Ender 5 stock frame. So today we're going to start taking, I think I've decided we're going to go from the bottom up. So we'll start by putting the skirts on to the bottom of the Nebula frame. And then what we're going to do is try and decouple the electronics enough so that we can move one DIN rail at a time over into the new frame. Because I believe the DIN rail side-to-side length is still going to be the same. And that will allow us to slowly start moving stuff from this frame to this frame, and we'll work our way from the bottom up to the top. And the reason we're going to do that is because you can see here that we've got printed motor mounts here, here, and here. And we are now going to be switching up to CNC motor mounts. Okay? For those of you that were here on last stream, you know that we've got CNC motor mounts along with, we're going to 9mm belts at the top. Hey Eagle the Dragon, our CNC'd XY joiners. And we have to start off by mounting these to the linear rails. So once we have to get the linear rails put over before we can start installing this stuff or building up our gantry. Now I did get another box in. So let's pull over here. Hey Zombie, how's it going? I did get a box in today that just arrived. This is from In3Dtec. They are a company in China, but these will be some other parts that we ordered for this build. Oh, cool. We get their rapid prototyping catalog of services. That's kind of cool. You know, they do all type of plastics 3D printing, CNC machining, injection molding, vacuum casting. So all kinds of cool things that we can look into. But we've got new parts. This is going to be fun. We always like opening up new parts, don't we? We can find where they, there we are. We ordered these a couple of streams ago, so like last week, and they've already come in, so fairly rapid on on their stuff. Once again, this is was it Pudong City, Shenzhen, I think. But put tape on here, and I really don't care. I just want to rip it open. There we go. These are SLM printed arm mounts. These are going to replace these printed arms right here on each side. So you can see kind of, it's about 60% of the height. And this is SLM printed aluminum. So I will have to go through and tap these holes and all the other holes on here. I do have taps to do that. So I will do this off stream, but we've got 2 sets of rails because, well, if I'm going to be doing upgrades, we might as well upgrade the one over there. So we got a set of rails and we got some carriages. Now I got 2 different sizes of these printed. It was like $30, but these are the little trucks that go on that hold the magnets and the balls. So I'll wait to open these up. And really, we're going to see how far we can make it tonight. But once again, what we're going to do is I'm going to take this printer, set it down over off the camera, basically lock myself in, and we'll flip the frame over here and we'll start putting on some skirts. I do have all of our printed parts here that we are going to be using. So panel parts, once again, we're doing the neon magenta color. So, and for those of you worried, don't worry, there is some of the black in here as well in strategic places. So yeah, let me move some printers around. I now have 3 fairly large size printers sitting up here, which is going to make things a little difficult. There we go. It is going to make things a little difficult. But the plan will be to work on taking things off the one printer and moving them directly over as much as possible. Hey, Pete, how's it going? This gets turned upside down, and we'll be working on the frame right over here. Once again, the thought process I'm having is build up the skirts and add the feet. Then we can flip it back over, and I'm going to do my best to only disconnect what I have to pull the den rails out, move them over, and put the den rails back in right in here. I will change up, I don't know, I'll change up the colors of some of the printed parts that are on the den rails simply because it doesn't match the color scheme. If it was black, we'd be fine. It wasn't black. So let me see. We've got 4 of the center pieces. We've got 4 corner pieces. And we've got our side skirt pieces here. And all these are going to be M5 hardware, which should be provided in here with the Nebula kit along with our feet and stuff. So basically what I'm going to have is an Ender 5 frame left with a bunch of printed parts if somebody wants to upgrade their Ender 5. And I know somebody that might want to do that. Okay, M5 by 10s and M5 20 series T-nuts. That's exactly what I'm going to need to start putting these on. Should probably do something like, I don't know, bring up the instructions as well. Add those in Adobe. And yes, I am a little out of sorts at the moment. Like I said, a lot of rushing around and then fighting traffic to get back home on like an hour-long drive. So, and I thought I had pulled it down. There we go. There we go. Sorry, folks. I know you're looking at my felt figure. Hey, Shrimp Father, how's it going? How's it going? You missed it. We had the other printer sitting up on the frame here, and we're going to start slowly. We're going to put the skirts on the Nebula frame, and we're going to start working from the bottom up and just basically stripping the Ender 5 frame that was the ZeroG and just work our way from bottom to top. So we're going to put the skirts on, then we'll move the electronics over because they're drop electronics, and we'll just keep working our way through it. And I'm looking at the frame to see if it actually talks about the frame, the door hinges, the panels, the door catch. It does not actually talk about the actual ZeroG stuff there. So give me 1 second and we'll Nebula Mercury 1. Nope, that's the All-Metal Gantry stuff, not the actual Mercury 1. So come over here. I think the ZeroG docs are all online. Come on. Oh, that wasn't it. There we go. Docs.zerog.1. All right, let's. Sorry, folks. Like I said, I am a little bit discombobulated right now, trying to get things squared away. I just got home. So let's see, small application, properties, Chrome. Okay, so we've got the instructions coming up. Who's project 4, blah, blah, blah. Build. That's what we want, is build instructions. Click here to download the build manual. That would be perfect. Sure. Get rid of that. Make this a little bit bigger so that people with my eyes can see it. All right. Really should actually look and see where it says to start, because I'm pretty sure it says start at the top. And we're going to start at the bottom. Bottom X joints, top X joints, Y-axis alignment, toolhead belts, all of that is the top. Okay. Hydra. I'm going to do that. Electronics. All right, so the heck with it. I think we're just going to go for it. Sounds about like the right thing to do. So in the orientation that you are looking at, okay, I will get rid of that and just go straight to the bench side. This is the back that has the double 2020 extrusion. This is the front of the frame. So at the back, we're going to have our power inlet down here somewhere, which means I know for a fact my two fronts, one of them, I believe it's this one. Yeah. You can print this off with a switch. One of these can have a switch in it. And the nice thing about that is you can remotely do your switch. So we can put that at the front right. Or if we wanted to, it can be at the rear right-hand side of the printer, facing out. And that's actually the configuration I have it in at the moment. So if I do it like that, chances are my wiring may be good enough as far as distance. But if I move it up here, I'm going to have to redo some wires just from the mains inlet up to the switch. So that's an idea. Please deposit coins. Why are we depositing coins? Okay, this is going to take 3 M5 screws. 1 here, and 1 that should be able to go right down into the 2020, which that was a blind nut. Okay, can't go down in there. So we're going to have 1, 2, 3 of our rolling T-nuts to set our corner. Don't you mess with me. Come on now. So how is everybody doing this evening? Hopefully fine. Hope everybody's week's going good so far. I know mine's going all right. So I'm doing this with the, because you know the holes are offset on these. So I'm doing it with the hole facing the center on all of them. And we'll push this down along there and get everything lined up when we go to put in our screws. Which once again should be M5x10 button heads. Let me just make sure. That we don't have M5x10 socket heads of a weird orientation. I do, but not nearly enough to do the skirts and stuff. Yeah. Okay, so M5x10 button heads. And for those of you that are interested in the auto eject, it has been fully funded. I think they are now in the stretch goal area, and we have been working on doing some refinement to not only some parts but also the bill of materials some. What we're trying to do is like reduce the overall number and types of screws. So anywhere that we see like, oh, there's only 2 screws of this size, we want to swap those out and get them, modify the parts so we can use an already existing screw. So that just helps make everything a little more streamlined. So we've been working on that, and the we should be ready to do the final, I'll say, sorting of parts and sending out a few beta test kits here this week. And if anybody here is going to open source, you're going to see automated there. And you're going to see automated because he just hooked up with somebody who's got a booth, and it's going to be doing something really, really interesting. Hey, Kevin, how's it going? So he's going to be sitting at the booth with the positron folks. I took my positron into the store and was showing it off to a few people and to Makesh. And he said, well, why don't we do a, oh, darn it. Apparently that wasn't as lined up as I thought it was. Basically, he said, why don't we try and get the auto eject working with the positron? So I have the glass bed positron, and if you ever disengage the glass bed on the positron, it goes into a thermal shutdown because you also disconnect the thermistor for the bed when you do that. So the plan is we have the PEI bed, the LEO PEI bed being shipped from KB3D along with some spare parts. We're hoping to get it set up before he leaves, but we might not be able to. You might have to work with the positron folks to get it get the bed installed and stuff. But they are working on rapid prototyping of a positron specific auto eject. Hey Pez Liz, how's it going? Two Wolf Design, welcome in. Taking a break from moving desks. That's a good thing. What is going on here? You were lined up, and now you don't want to play nicely. Why is this? Hmm? So yeah, just a few things going on. We will be getting some beta kits out this week, regardless, to some people for testing. I don't know yet who's getting them. Mikesh does have that list, but I did also confirm that I will be going to FormNext in Frankfurt this year. We'll be doing that in November. I believe it's FormNext. So yeah, we'll be heading off as part of Team Auto Eject to Frankfurt to help represent. And Auto Eject is also going to, there's other things in the works. Not worried, prints just fell off when plate is changed. No, actually they stick pretty darn well to the bed. The problem is like I said, when you remove the bed, the printer itself shuts down, so it's basically not going to be a changer because the bed or the printer shuts down and you can't trigger the next job. So by I know, there we go. By switching over to the PEI bed that'll have a flex plate, we'll be able to just take the flex plate off and keep going. It's just going to be a little novel since, well, now it's an upside down printer that's going to have the bed pulled off while upside down and stacked with the prints upside down in the rack. And over the weekend, I got confirmation of another print job that needs to be done. So I went ahead and bought 2 more of these Centauri carbons because, well, they're pretty darn good printers and I like them. Okay, the 4/5/8, these should be the sides. No, side? Which one's longer, side or back? It looks like the back. Yes. Okay, so this one will go here. The looks like I am going to put the switch in the rear right. So on the right hand side at the rear of the printer, because it's either that or I take this one back off and swap those two out. I'm going to keep it back here. Sorry, just because once again I might be able to then leave all of my existing wiring and stuff intact. Now I just noticed on these parts there are spots where I need to put heat set inserts in for the bottom panel. So we're going to need to go ahead and do some heat set inserts real fast. I guess I could go ahead and put this one on there so I don't knock it off again. Oh yeah, it's definitely going to be a fun challenge. Yeah. So far it's been really cool because it's like true rapid prototyping. And as we're sitting there building it up, I'm like, these parts are different than the ones that I built for me in K2. And he goes, yeah, I made some changes. I'm like, well, that's great. Now we need to change this, 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 and this. So, like I said, we were changing a lot of parts on the fly today to go from like having two M5x10s and two M5x12s when everything else is M5x8 or like M5x30 where necessary due to the fact that they are acting as pens for pulleys. So, use the right size where it makes sense. Modify things to reduce the overall, we might not reduce the overall number of screws, but at least the different types and sizes so that in the next step, when we go to full kits, we're not doing, well, M5 button head, or M5x8 button head, M5x8 socket head, and, on and on and on. So we have to take this screw back out, if I can find the hole in the top of the head. There we go. Because what I didn't do was make sure that my other one was down far enough. So yeah, so just building some efficiencies into the BOM, yeeting some parts that aren't really needed. They were needed for some design stuff, meaning, in early stages of design, you're trying to do it so that you have the ability to, this part needs to be a little bit bigger. So rather than print the whole part, I'll print just this small extension piece. Well, now that we know that it needs to be a certain size, let's just go ahead and make it that certain size and not have to print 2 or 3 things and then add more fasteners to connect them together. So we're trying to do some of that efficiency right now. Hey, 3D Medic Vince, welcome in. So we're working again on our ZeroG Mercury One, and I decided we're going to start working on the bottom frame and kind of work our way from bottom up. So we're starting to put the skirts on, and I did notice that I've got to put some heat set inserts at a couple of spots on here. So this end, and then in this case, 2 on the front to deal with the inlet, the power inlet. So let's go ahead and get our thingy up here, our heat set press, our stealth press. Oh, and by the way, we are going to be building a Frax soon. And I may be building multiple Frax assemblies. I think that's what we can call it. Multiple Frax assemblies for the people I'm doing some printing for. Okay, and these are our standard M354 heat set inserts. And like I said, we're kind of looking at it going, yep, that needs to be a heat set. Because there's no, the manual's not full and complete yet. So because there are, basically this is multiple upgrades all on one printer. So I kind of call it in stages. So stage 1 is doing the ZeroG Mercury 1, which is the CoreXY Gantry system, and getting rid of the Cartesian system. The next phase would then be updating to the Hydra mod, which gives you the triple lead screw setup a la a Voron Trident. And then the third stage, or I just went the full Monty, is going through and yeeting the entire frame and just building a frame from scratch called Nebula. The other thing now that Nebula is out is this basically gives you a path to self-source the entire thing soup to nuts. You don't even need the inner 5 because you're going to be swapping out the electronics anyhow. You probably don't want the standard Creality hot end. So if you want to do the full Monty upgrade, this just allows you to cut to the chase and start from the frame from the get-go and build up and out. So the 538, so these are listed. This is SK5, I'm sorry, 458, SK458R, and then the other one's 458L, right? The one with the power inlet goes in the back. The ones with without the power inlet would of course go to the front. And just like before, 458's front and back, and then the 480 is the left and right side. We're just going to go through and put our heat sets in here so that we'll have a place to screw down the bottom panel. And once again, the nice thing about this is the electronics are all facing up, so you won't have to flip this printer over. You'll be able to take 4 panel clips, I think it was 4, 6 panel clips off, and the clear panel can flip up or be pulled up, and you have access to all your electronics. So if you want to have your electronics on display, this is definitely a build for you. If you don't, I'm sure you can get a black deck panel so you can hide your electronics, but still have them easily accessible. Hey, Keela, how's it going? I saw y'all streaming. The last time I was paying attention. I am so lost these days as to who's streaming when and doing what, because I had a work off-site and I was staying up way late for that. I wasn't getting home till after 10:30 each night. And then, so I wasn't streaming, and when I don't stream, that means that my whole schedule for the week is kind of thrown off. So all right. A couple more and we'll be done. Hey, thanks for the follow, Dominic. Welcome in. Welcome in. So we had built Mercury Rising a while back, a few years back. It was Ender 5 turned ZeroG Mercury 1. Then we did the Hydra mod to it. And it's currently rocking a Revo hot end. And my plan had, for the longest time, had been to swap the standard Revo heater core out for the high flow heater core, which is just going from 45 watt to 60 watt, or 40 to 60, one of those two, and to put a high flow nozzle in it, which I have, and I can still do that while we're doing this rebuild. Or I have the option of putting something truly new and interesting in it, since this is a bigger printer. So yeah, we've got some options, is where I'm going at, of things that we can do. All right, put the hot thing off to the side so that we don't burn ourselves, because I know me. Grab the other hot thing, which is the coffee. We were talking about it down at Ecovate, and I think there's some people that aren't. So 3D Printopia has always been more of the trade show style. Murph has always been the family reunion, right? We come back up here for this. And by the way, hey sis, how's it going? Glad to see you here. Tell me I said hello. So yeah, 3D Printopia has always been like more vendor centric, it feels like. And Murph has always been the family reunion, the true makers, the crazy zany stuff comes out. And Murph is right there in the area, or in between. And I think with the success of Rocky Mountain, where they're now 36,000 square feet, they've got, 5,000 people through the door on the first day of the show, and this is their third year in existence. And Earth being one of the older shows out there, I think they kind of felt the need to amp it up. I don't know. But yeah, they're moving from Bel Air, Maryland to Philly. Now, I've been to Philly, but it's been a number of years since I spent time in Philly. Normally it was, you know, wearing a uniform and going through Philly really fast. So it'll be neat. I think it'll be interesting. Yeah, we'll have to see how they pull it off. But I think it's going to be interesting this year and next year because they're going to expand their floor space so much that, I mean, they're going to have 63,000 square feet, I believe it was what I saw, which is even twice as much as what they have at Remurf. Now, it sounds like things like depth racers and stuff will all be inside, which could be cool. But, yeah. I am worried that it turns more vendor-centric, or where it's kind of like all the vendors in this room of the event center and then all the makers over here, rather than the big intermix where you can see vendors and makers can be near the vendors sometimes that support them, right? So yeah, it's going to be interesting. I will say I'm going to miss the Aberdeen Diner. So we're going to have to, I'm going to be talking with Chris, and we're going to have to be there like as much as we can. I can tell you that Beverly, the owner of Ecovate, has been talking about trying to set something up in the Raleigh-Durham area as another option. I know there's been talks of, do we do one down in Florida? Because everything's kind of higher up, and now we've got an East Coast, a Midwest, and a full-on Western piece of the pie, but they're still sort of higher. And I think if we got something down, Alabama, Georgia, Alabama, South Carolina, even North Carolina, something in that area, it may pull people back up, because I don't know how many more people are going to be driving from Florida all the way up to Philly now. Right? Oh yeah, I completely forgot there's a Texas one next year as well. So it's the Lone Star, I think it's Lone Star Rep Festival, something like that. And yes, I'd love to see one in Canada, Pez Liz. I'd love to get over to Smurf. I don't know if I can get some support. I will be at Smurf. But now we're starting to look at, we have Rapid, we have Rapid, Smurf, Rocky Mountain, which is going to be almost on top of Murph again next year. And then we'll have a bit of a gap, and then we go up to 3D Printopia and the Lone Star one. It's going to be kind of crazy for vendors to go from one to the other now. And either they're going to have multiple setups strategically placed, or they're going to have to start picking and choosing which ones they go to. And that's where it's going to become a divided house, so to speak. But we'll see. We'll see how it plays out. I want to be optimistic. I really want all of them to take off and do well, because it's more places for me to be able to go and do the cool things that I want to do. So once again, I'm going to set these in here. There's 2 in each one of these. So there's one here, one here, and then there's going to be a piece in the center. So what I'm going to do is both of my holes, or all of my holes, are going to be facing towards the center of the rail. So there's the two for these pieces, and then my Z for the ZeroG. Let me flip back over the bench side. The Z for the ZeroG is going to be right in the middle, and I probably need to hit these with the heat gun real fast. Yes, exactly. Dominic, a Southern Rip Rap Festival would be pretty sweet because once again, with 3D Printtopia moving up north, it's going to make it so that some of our folks down south in Florida aren't going to be able to travel. I mean, there's crazy people like me that drive 30 hours to go to Rocky Mountain, but not everybody does that. So all I'm doing is taking my heat gun and going over the part, and it removes the stress marks on the front, or on the part that was closest to the bed. And I was doing this on some of the long, skinny skirt pieces, like these, and they bow really bad. And I was like, oh no. But, you'll see there's some white marks on the bottom of there. So let me show you what I mean. So I'm heating this up, which is going to release the stress in the part and reduce those white marks. But you'll see when I do that, that now bows big time. But don't worry, it's a smart cookie. It's a smart cookie. And by smart cookie, it comes back pretty much to shape as that heat pulls back out of it. And I find putting it down on my stone top actually pulls that heat out a little bit more, and it relaxes it a lot quicker and easier. And once again, you'll see now there's no real rocking or tapping, and that's now nice and straight again. And we relieved all that stress mark from the print. Okay, so we're at the back here. We've got our two end pieces. Once again, we're going to have the one with the hole that's got the for the outlet, and the side that has the words on it that we put our heat sets in needs to be facing up, because that is what is going to give us the lip to mount our bottom panel, the bottom deck panel. So we'll grab our M3 button head screws. M3. M5 by 10 by the look of it. started, and then we'll pull this one over so it lines up. But yeah, I'm actually looking forward to going back to Philly. Like I said, I was there when I was a young kid, and then in my adult life when I went through it, it was literally going through it, flying through it, or landing and driving back out of it. So, you know, that happens. Hey, TurtleCrawler, how's it going? Yeah, M5x10s. And then and for those of you that don't know, TurtleCrawler is an enabler. And by that turtle, we got the motor mount plates in. And I don't know why. I got 3 of these. I thought I only ordered 2. Maybe I got an extra one. And I got 2 sets of the rails that came in today. So we've got our, whoops, helps if I show them off. We got our arms in today. So I'll have to tap all of the screw holes so that we can actually mount things to them. But these are ready, or not ready. I'll have to do a little bit of work to get those ready. And I got, well, as you can see and count, there's 4 front motor plates there, which means I got them for both of my ZeroGs, the big one and the small one. So, like I said, enabler. And yeah, I figure those holes will be off a little bit because SLM is a powder and a binder so that it can be printed. It, of course, means also that as that binder cooks off, as it's centered and stuff, it will shrink a little bit. So there will be some tolerance. So we'll deal with that. All right, so that's one side. This is, once again, the rear side with our power outlet, or power inlet, and our switch. So this will be one of the sides, which will be the longer ones over here. Oh, come on. You need to modify 2 of your skirt sections to move your power inlet to the side. Okay, people ask for metal bits. Yeah, you provide the files for silly things. That's true. I think it's because they were, I don't know. I think it's because that blade, no, that's not a, I don't know. So the LDO 2040 is really tight. Might be, exactly, yeah. I have noticed that. And that one's that way. So I need, do I have 2 lefts and 2 rights? I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing. Anybody get a chance to watch Nero's stream lately with the, I know he's printing with the Venture XL now. I still want to build one of those. But we've got this. This is a large size printer. It's now going to be a large size enclosed printer. We have the riff right behind me. Oh, that was the right part. It was just me being me. That's good. We have the riff right behind me. That's a 300 by 600 that will let us do our longer parts. And then, of course, we'll have the Optimus P1 at some point. We'll get that back up and running, and that will give us our super duper large format machine, which is 600 by 600 by 1,000. And my plan is to put a tube in that with a big fat nozzle that we can do some really big prints in. And don't worry, TurtleCrawler, I was just giving you a hard time. I was telling everybody that I just sat there and picked up 2 more Centauri carbons on Saturday. So I picked up 2 Centauri carbons. I sold somebody on a Centauri carbon at the store. And then Evil Diesel came down and got one yesterday. So a few Centauri carbons flying out there in the wild now. Wondering if I got a, oh, there we go. I just finally got it lined up right. I have in the past had M5 hardware that, actually, it's not just M5 hardware. I have had hardware that was just never threaded. You don't even think about it. You don't even look about it. You know, you just throw it in there and then boom, there it is. I see some new names in there. Hold on a second, folks, and let me get this screwed in, and I will turn around and say hi again. All right. Besides that, we're just going to keep working around the corner. The big benchy looked pretty good. Yeah, I saw the big base that he did as well. You're worried about moving your 370 build to its spot on the shelves once the panels are on. Exactly. I moved the old one up here, went back downstairs, and Mrs. Dragon was like, "Are you okay? You're like huffing and puffing." I was like, "Yeah, I just moved the big printer off, and carried it upstairs." And she was like, "Oh, okay. Hey Daisy, how's it going?" But yeah, and that's the other thing is once you add the panels on, there's really no easy way to grab it. It's all the way down at the bottom. So if it's sitting on the floor, you're getting down and picking it up off the floor. You really need to have these up on a counter when you're done so that you don't have to move them. You're gathering parts for a Micron 120 build. Awesome kit, Skyfire. So interesting point. I do have a Micron. I believe it's a 180 build, but I've got a Micron to build for Zura between now and 3D Printopia. So we're going to get this one gone, or this one done, and get it back downstairs and churning away. We'll continue to work on the riff over here as we get. I'm waiting from the designer to see his decision on where to put the secondary controller for running the stuff at the top. I want to see what he's going to do and then decide if that's what I want to do or if I'm going to do something else, basically, and do some modified parts for it. But I want to get this up and running. This is not going to be enclosed. This is going to be, the riff here is going to be fully open, where things like this are going to be fully enclosed and be a large area for ABS parts. Yeah. Okay, so once again, these will be the smaller size ones. And by smaller size, these are the 458 millimeter ones, 458 millimeter. And then the longer side, which is the actual sides, are 480. So and how's it going, Daisy? I hope you're doing well. I hope you are doing well. Once again, a big shout out and thank you to Daisy for my channel logos. Am I missing something here? 1, 2, 3 will all be asleep. I think I buried a. Yep, I did. Let's try this again. Do that. Oh, let's back out. So I am in talks with the the automated folks. As some of you know, I'm chatting with the automated folks. I'm going to become part of um, their team and their U.S. representation. And then I also will be I'm having some talks. I'm trying to close some things on and be able to announce soon a actual sponsor of the channel. So we'll have some things going on there. Yeah, I think after doing this, the Micron build is going to be fun. It's going to be a little more complex just because of the size, really. It's a lot of the same things. I mean, it's a shrunken down 2.4, but it's also like the V0 and the fact that it's 1515 rails. And people don't realize how much of a pain that can be. Like 1515 rail, it's just a little bit harder to maneuver around in when you got big meat mitts, you know? So, and Turtle, you were saying that the LDO 2040s are a little bit tighter. I remember the Masumi rails were as well. I'm not sure if these are truly Masumi rail or not, but the Masumi rails themselves, I think I had some issues when I was doing the smaller version during the beta with these ones being pretty darn tight and not wanting to move once you get them in there. Like this one right now. Oh. Yeah, they got to be like perfectly in there, and then they can slide around. If they're not perfectly aligned in there, have fun. They vary batch to batch, yeah. Well, and I mean, let's be honest here. It is molten metal shoved through a die, right? I mean, that is what our aluminum extrusions are. It's not like this is precision, aluminum extrusion is not precision milled material. If you want precision milled, then you go with, an actual CNC cut plate or something. And I tell you what, guys, Mrs. Dragon is loving her P1S. She is printing like crazy on it. All right, so we've got the skirts on. Now what we could do is literally put the other printer over on its side, undo the bottom plate, and just move it straight over. I definitely want to kind of look at it, and we'll be moving the drop rails over. I believe our 4 feet will be going on with the M5 16 or 18, whatever the longer M5s were in here. It'll be easy to tell because it was like the pack of 4 or 5. So we got 12s, and we've got M5 18. M5 nuts. It's either 12 or 18. You put the feet on first? Okay. You remember, is it the M5 12 or M5 18? I'm thinking it could probably just be the 12. Yeah, it's M5 something. So I have M5 12 and I have M5 18. Let me see where the 12 goes. Oh no. So that's the M5 12. That's not going to make it through the printed part and into. So it's got to be the M5 18s. So we'll use the M5 18s. And these will go through, and there will be a hole for the M5 hex nut to go in. So basically we'll find the hole, we'll put the nut in it, and then drop this down on the top and tighten it down with a 4mm driver. And don't try and kill it. I mean, you really can tighten these too much and split your parts, and then you'll be having a bad day. So no need to give it all the ugga-duggos. Just get it started. You'll feel that nut start to get pulled up into the cavity, and just pull it the rest of the way. You'll feel right as it snugs up, and that's all you have to do. Just stop right there when you feel that tension change. Like I said, my plan is literally to take off of one, put on the other. Take off of one, put on the other. The tool head on the other printer is a CAN bus tool head. So I think the plan right now is just to do a straight cutover. And if I decide to do a change of the tool head, then I'll go ahead and change the tool head, and I'll just leave the same board and everything. It'll literally be printing out the new tool head parts and rebuilding the tool head using the aforementioned hot end that I can't disclose. Okay, sis. Give me a treats for me. Actually, give them all treats for me. They miss me and I miss them. Ooh, you know what I just thought of? That deck panel won't even fit on here, so I need to go and at least find the... I'll try and move... I'll disconnect and move the DIN rail stuff over, and I'll try and swap printers around right now so you can see what I'm doing. But I just thought about that. The deck panel that's on the Ender 5 frame will not go on this one because the skirts are different sizes. And I'll try and flip this around here, and we'll play with the camera some so you can see that this is rocking a 7-inch HDMI display. So we're running a Manta M8P with a CB1 module and UTC. And I know people will go, well, you didn't need the UTC to run CAN bus. I know, because I could run it straight CAN bus from the M8P. I did this because this is this is the older one. This M8P doesn't support CAN bus. The newer one that went in the smaller one does. So I might see, I do have another, I think I got another Manta board that was given to me, and I'll see if it's a newer version that does. Yeah, the deck panel is the same because there's printed skirts that go all the way around, but the bottom deck panel will be different. Yep. Hey, Royal Nomi, how's it going? We're doing some surgery, and we're literally going to try and just pull the DIN rails from point A, set them on the bench, bring the other printer over, and install the DIN rails in the other printer chassis. So we're trying to, we're basically breaking this down one piece at a time as we go. So you're going to see me get down in here. I do have a camera on here. I've got, well, we've got the camera, we've got the HDMI screen with the touchscreen piece. So we've got, I don't want to say jank wiring, but we got wiring that maybe is not necessarily needed. I'm going to have to... Oh man, I should probably have Yeah, let me take a picture of this before I start disconnecting. Going up to the tool head, this is Y, which makes this one turn around, you little jerk. Sorry, folks, I'm just trying to make sure that I get my wires covered here as far as which motor was going where. Okay, because some of these wires have to get disconnected, like that one and that one. And actually, all of the motor wires need to get disconnected as we try and disconnect that. That is all on the same board. The Wagos are going to have to get yeeted out. CAN bus cable gets disconnected. I say it gets yeeted out. It might not need to be. We might just need to all right, that's bed. Disconnect the SSR mains. Shoot. Trying to think of the best way of doing this. That's an upper cable. That's the bed. What is that side going to? Oh. I think if I just disconnect the power, I should be able to pull the first one out, and that one will be minimal stuff being removed. So we'll use our screwdriver. And sorry, I know that that was not very visible. This printer cannot sit up on this table. That's why we're kind of doing it the way that we're doing it. What I'm trying to do is remove the cables that go up to the things like the bed, and then the cables that go up to or between the two rails, so I can remove them independently. All right, so there's the bed. There's one of the cables going up. This is the X cable that needs to slide up underneath there. Because once again, the plan, I think the easiest plan is going to be remove the DIN rails, pull them out, and just put them in the other chassis. You know what? And I can possibly do that without even... I might be able to do that without taking them off. or disconnecting them between the two. Are these? Oh, they're button heads. So these are drop den rails, which means they, all of your electronics will then be facing up. And the goal here will be just pick this stuff up, move it over into the new chassis. I will reprint the den rails, like the ones underneath the board. I don't think those need to be reprinted because you're not going to see them. But the ones that'll be visible, I'll reprint to use either the black or the magenta. I'll probably make them black just because they're down in the underside. And once again, my plan is to add lights in the top hat region. And because we're using neon filament, I mean, I figure why not make it fun? We'll go ahead and put some black light in it. And that'll make it pop a little bit. And the nice thing is once I get the den rails undone, we'll be able to fairly much pick this whole thing up and out. Black, red, green. I'm sorry, red, black, green. Come on. Go it that way. Need to take this one off. Mm-hmm. That's all disconnected. We'll come over here and unscrew the other side. And then we'll be able to pull the two den rails out. Once again, the we've got the 7-inch display on here. I figured 7-inch was a good size for a display on a 370 by 370 by 420 print volume. So we'll probably go ahead and put that back in place when we do the conversion. Now, something we could do down the road is we could go a little crazy zany here. We still have a Kraken board that we haven't used on anything. So we could go Kraken. We could, we can update to a different board if we want. Especially if we're going to do some other weird, cool stuff. All right. What am I catching on? Oh, there we go. So this is our electronics. Hey, Big Jano. So this is our electronics setup for this printer. What we've got going on here is a Meanwell RSP 500 power supply. It is coming in off of a switch on this side. So we've got the switch over here, grounded cable, and the ground is what? Ground to here. Oh, the red we undid. From here, we have another one there. Okay. Power supply coming around here to a set of Wagos. And these Wagos then are powering the motor power, the power for the board itself. We've got a fan here that is kind of stretched way too tight. I want to change that around. But that is coming over our UTC and then down over our steppers. I've got another fan here, so both of our fans are blowing in and then kind of circulating right in this area. We're running a CB1 module, and we've got all 8 drivers, but we're not using all 8 drivers. We had the X motor, the Y motor, and then 3 motors in the middle for the Z. And I can basically pull all the extras because we're not using them. Because we did have a CAN bus board, which is why we have the UTC in here. This is a CAN bus board that goes up to the that goes up to the tool head. So we just pulled these out. Like I said, I believe that the side-to-side dimension is still the same, so I won't need to recut den rails. We will need to move the 7-inch HDMI display and all that good stuff, which we'll get to. I'm just trying to think right now. What's the best way to go ahead and go about putting these back in on the other frame? I was thinking if I could lay this down on its side, we might be able to use it as a stand, but I think what I need to do is just move this out of the way. Put the bed cables back to the inside for now. Bed cables, camera cables, we'll fish those out when we start tearing the bottom apart. Scoot that around the corner. We'll bring our other frame back in. So, how's it going, Jano? So, Jano, is your printer up and running? So we've got our skirts on. We have not put the lower deck panel on yet. I'll have to go and grab it from downstairs, but we will get that added on soon. Whoops. We're going to flip this back over. I'll hold it up so you guys can see the skirts there. Once again, we've got the magenta is the main color. The black is the accents. And our drop electronics should go right between those 2040s and just still sit right down in there. And I'm just going to turn these in there, and we'll see about getting them locked back down in there. I'm sorry that the view tonight is not as great as it could be. It's almost like I was planning on streaming, but my brain hadn't really thought about everything I needed to do to stream tonight. Those two, all the screws. Once again, the theme is black and magenta. These are, they look to be like a graphite, which is close enough to black for me. But the blue parts, they'll get changed out. I'll print those and we'll change those out as we go along. And it does look like these are going to fit just nicely. So we'll throw in a couple of throw in some T-nuts, and we'll get these going. These are M5 by 10, which we've got here. Yeah, how are you doing tonight, Royal Nomi? His work truck broke. That's not good. How are the cleanup efforts going out there, Nomi? I know they asked people to kind of stop coming and trying to be so helpful. You set the Z, if you set it to Z equals 300, it only pushes up the hot end about halfway. So I got to go through the config and see what I have set for the Z axis. Okay, if it only goes up halfway, it's one of two things. One, you have the wrong setting for the pitch of the lead screw, right? It's going to be it'll be like a TR8-4 or TR8-2 or TR8-8, and the 2, 4, or 8 would be the rotation distance. The other thing you would look at is what is the Z motor set to as far as steps per rotation. 1.8 degree motor would be 200 steps per rotation. A 0.9 degree motor would be 400 steps per rotation. So normally it's one of those two things. Chances are on a Z, it's the wrong rotation setting for the lead screw itself, not the motor rotation per thing. And while I can recover the things out of the other printer, it's just going to be easy enough to grab them here. So I've got my 8 T-nuts and my 8 screws, and I'm going to sit down here on the floor and try and, I don't know, give you guys a bit of an angle to what I'm doing while I'm doing it. I don't know, like, no. Got too much crap in the way is what it is. I mean, that's the God's honest truth right now. There we go. I got you a little bit more room. Yeah, this is the front of the printer facing me. And I'm just going to sit down here and I will say that I hope that I don't lose power because I am hearing the storms hitting again. We have been having a lot of heavy rainstorms here in North Carolina. Like, I don't think the Asheville area and that stuff has flooded as much as Texas did, but I am sure that there was probably some flooding that was going on. Will you get in thing there? Just stop it. There we go. Those two are moving. That one's moving. This one is not. We'll center on that one. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get these kind of in there loosely. And then I'll be able to get everything aligned. I'll just measure. Like I said, I've got the one front edge on the left side that's not playing nicely. So, of course, that one's going to be the one that I will measure off of. So I'll measure off the front to back distance on this side. Make sure that this one matches. That way I've got this rail as straight as possible. Oh, now it's starting to move. That's sweet. That's so sweet of you. So we'll pick a distance, we'll measure it, and we'll say, okay, that's where that one's going to be. Or at least I would if I had my measuring device up here. Well, here's one I can use. Yeah, it's most likely going to be the rotation distance, because if yeah, it'll be the rotation distance. Hey, Steve Builds, how are you doing? Welcome in. I'm like sitting down here on the floor working on the printer because my bench isn't deep enough to actually set it up here. So what we're working on is moving things from one chassis basically to the other. I think that will make life the easiest. I'm not going to completely undo everything and then redo it. I'm just going to move stuff, and we'll try and keep it to the minimum of we're converting it to the Nebula frame. We are going to CNC'd parts for the gantry. Actually, CNC parts for the gantry, the X motors, and the bed arms. So these came in the mail today. These are SLM printed by In3Dtec. I am going to have to go through and tap all the holes that were printed in here that need to be tapped. So we'll get that done. But I've got 2 sets of arms. I've got 2 sets of the Z motor plates. I still don't know why I got 3 of these when I only ordered 2. But this is the center rear. So I've got all of my motor mounts. I got the Z bed arms. I got the trucks. I got 2 sets of trucks. 2 sets of 2 sizes of trucks. And yeah, I need a bigger bench. Tell me about it. And I also did I've got the full 9mm belt gantry setup. And we're going to jump up to Kraken motors. Double shear. So yeah, we're going from 6mm to 9mm belts. We're going to update the motors for A and B. We're going to update the tool head. And what else? Anything else? I mean, I think that's kind of good. But yes, I do need a bigger bench. That is definitely for sure. Now, I think I'll come around to the back side so you guys could probably see what I'm doing a little bit easier. I'll move this forward so I can sit back here. Now, this piece is limited by wires here as well as wires here. So the whole thing does still need to come back some. So I will need to move this back. I was trying to do about 100 mil, or yeah, 100 mil from the front. Looks like I'm going to have to go even further back. Didn't even think about that the limiting factor would be the rear, because I'm trying not to redo the wiring. So we'll bring this back so that we can still get to our power inlet and so forth. These 2040s are a bit cantankerous. They'll flying out too. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to get them up here, get them started, and then I will go through and figure out the measurement so I make sure that the arms are going straight across. And I apologize for pasty white legs and all that good stuff. So Steve, I'm sure you're going to get hit up with this, but what are your thoughts of the 3D Printopia move to Philly next year? What I really needed, based on my potential wiring, is about 100 mil from the back post versus from the front post. And then once again, the distance that I have will dictate everything else. And we're going to run the crack ends with 24 volt to start. Basically, what we're going to try and do is get everything running or up and running again the way it was. Then we'll come back and say, okay, now how do we soup this up a bit? And some of that souping up may include swapping some things for, and that's going to give us a problem there. So, I'm sorry. It may include swapping in a 48 volt motor for the X and Y. So okay. So we've got the base electronics mode, and I can tell I'm probably going to have to suck it up, move this over, and redo some wiring because there's no way a Z motor is going in there with that, with where that thing is located. So yeah, the whole thing will probably have to move forward again to make room for the rear Z motor, but we'll get there. We will get there. In fact, that's probably where we're going to go right now is taking our bed off. And then once we take the bed off, we'll be able to get to our Z arms and remove those. I think these are all locked down, or at least partially locked. How are these going? Is the bed, I'm trying to remember the bed. Does it get, got a magnet, we got a ball, we have a spacer. That's right. It's actually in there with a screw top down into the ball. So we have to take the screws off the bed, and then we can take things apart. You've not been to Philly though? Yeah. I think it'll be interesting to see how things go over in Philly, but yeah, it's going to get a little interesting. So yeah, as you can see, I've got the Rift 600 here that I'm using to store some stuff while I'm waiting for the next round of release files for that one. So we're kind of jumping around a little bit to take stuff off of this printer to put on to the other printer. And I thought that was a 2.5. Apparently it is not. So yeah, the good old robbing Peter, putting it on Paul type setup here. Okay, so there's the bed. And now that the bed's removed, we should be able to start tearing down other things off of this particular build. I don't want to... Oh, I was like, what was that? That was all the spacers. Awesome. Where'd the other one go? There it is. My 3 bed spacers that'll go on the bed. I'm going to need the motors. Yeah, everything's got to come off of every axis because we're going to be changing the mounts over for other mounts, but we need the motors. The hardware on the trucks are going to come off, so we basically have to start removing a motor at a time. So we'll just start with this one right here. Probably one of the easiest ways, definitely not going to be that one. 2.5, pretty sure it's 2.5 that I need. I'm just going to undo the the clamp here, which will allow me to pull my lead screw up and out. Just like that. Pull the lead screw out. Hopefully I've got enough distance to do that. I don't think I'm going to, so I'll have to take from the top. And the truck itself has to completely come apart. Otherwise, I would just try and move the rails over in one shot. It will not work because we're replacing the printed bed trucks here with metal ones. So What I should probably do is try and take my, I might have to flip this over on its side and take the bottom deck panel off, get the rest of the wiring for the power switch and stuff off. Then when I take the skirts off, that'll let me get to the screen to get that off, because my biggest fear is I'm going to put my foot through that 7-inch HDMI display. Which, by the way, folks, when you run a Manta board or anything with a Big Tree Tech Pi or a CM1, they do not support the DSi displays. So you have to run them in HDMI mode. Need to take the motor mount off. Technically I don't. Technically I just need to take the motor off. I can leave the motor mount on there for now. Need the motor, I need the front. And like I said, the plan is basically take it off, move it to the other one piece at a time. It might be easier just to fully disassemble it, but I think in my brain, this says this might be easier. Still not sure if that's going to be true, but my brain says it is. Because that way I don't take off the things that I don't need to. And potentially I can say, hey, who needs an Ender 5 frame that's somewhat set up for a ZeroG conversion? So what we could do is this will be a left motor mount. Really. The parts from SendCutSend are nice, but there are some sharp edges. A part of me is debating, yeah. Folks, I'm going to be right back. Let me catch up with oh, perfect time for an ad. Hold, please. Yes. Ads are persnickety like that. How's it going, Martin? Jedi Spidey, how's it going tonight? Timor's still there. Waters, hey, good evening. Did you finally go home? I accidentally PTFO when I got home. Okay, just woke up. Oh, got it. Got it. You want to do the Rocky Steps and see the Liberty Bell. Yeah, there you go. I mean, that's the nice thing, Liz, is there's a lot of U.S. history there. So for those of you that are coming from other countries, or those of you that have never been to that part of the country, you get a chance to experience some of that history and go see some historical sites. So bear with me. I'm going to run downstairs real fast, and I'm going to grab some Scotch-Brite. So I will be right back, folks. Don't go anywhere. I'll say Liz is in charge, but I don't know. That might actually wind up costing me something. Yeah, it's becoming a minefield in here. Good thing I can remote work and that I have not been working. Yeah, it's a good thing I can remote work and not been up in my office working from the office. Okay, we need a catch bin receptacle, the file, and we're just going to do a little bit of filing here. So we do have a pretty decent burr right there, which is from it's a tab from the cutting process. So we're just going to try and get rid of that. I mean, I don't necessarily want to round over all the edges, but I am going to take the Scotch-Brite and go along the edges, which will clean them up some, get rid of any edge burrs that are left over from the cutting process. And then we'll also grab our deburring tool, and we're just going to hit all of the holes, just take out any burr. You want to do that on both sides. And then the big one there, you need to actually use a deburring tool for because it'll be too big. And once again, go ahead and hit both sides. Don't be afraid to take your Scotch-Brite. This is the maroon Scotch-Brite, and this is the stuff that I used when I was doing my plane build. And it does a pretty good job of just knocking down any of the sharp edges and burrs. Now you could go through here with the file and actually round some of these over, but I'm trying my hardest not to do that. And I know I'm going to need 2 of these, so I'm going to go ahead and just do the same thing here while we've got the stuff out. We'll do the rear one as well. Oh no, you're fine, Shrimp Father. I'm a little scattered all over the place myself. What I'm doing is deburring the plates because I'm going to try and remove one motor at a time. And get it moved over into the other frame. Then I'll need to set this down on its side, the old version of the printer on its side, and we will remove the Z rails, because once again we're building from the bottom up as we're moving stuff over, and it's just, that's how my mind's working on this, because it's not a full up like rebuild. We're changing the frame at this point. Oof, it's got a heck of a burr on the edge of it. We're changing the frame up, and then adding a bunch of our CNC parts to the equation. So we're just making sure that as we do this, we're not cutting ourselves, and we're not going to scar up our frame or our linear rails by having really sharp edges here. And yes, I could have paid for deburring services. I could have paid to have them tumbled and all of that jazz. But they charge for each and every service that you do, as they should, which just increases the overall cost. And not that I was trying to do it as cheap as possible. It was just, I have the tools. And it really doesn't take that long to do a basic deburr of parts. So if you already have the tools, why not do it? Save yourself a tiny bit of money. Now when they did this, I did have them tap these 3 holes for the for the cable chain. So these are tapped, so I'm doing them very, very lightly, because they basically have been deburred already, and of course they bent it as well. And of course you could have them anodize it, which means they're also going to do all the deburring stuff because they'll be anodizing it. Or at least I hope they would require you to pay for the deburring service, so when they anodize it, they didn't anodize it with a burr. You went on the Polymaker? Nice, Timor. Helmet and shin guards. You know, I've already injured myself once walking through here. It is definitely a bit more of a disaster now. And I really, really, really need to get things cleaned up and organized. Okay, so that part's done for now. We'll put those over there. We'll put that over there. I do want to wipe these down to get some of the dust off of them that we just created. So just some good old IPA on a rag. We're just going to wipe these down. Just to get any of the dust off them from when we were just deburring them, because the the Scotch-Brite, it is abrasive. I mean, it is literally knocking down the burrs and smoothing out these edges. And I do have a Scotch-Brite wheel. I could have taken this to the bench grinder and just did the Scotch-Brite wheel all the way around, and it definitely would have rounded off all the corners, but let that sit there and it can dry out. Now what we'll do is that plate's going to go like that. Motor's going to the side. This is the this is going to be the inner side. This is where the rail is going to be sitting down. So our motor wire's coming out towards the inside here. So this plate's going to line up like that. And I'm going to go ahead and reuse all the same hardware to include the washers, which will give us a larger bite area on the metal part. Where did I put the 2.5? There we go. Or at least I believe the same hardware should be good. And we won't have to go down to these look like M3x10s. We shouldn't have to drop down to M3x8s. No, Timor, I have not. I can go back and look at the bills, but I don't want to do that because I do know I have a little snitch on here that'll tell Mrs. Dragon if she's not listening in already. And there's just some things it's not like a major expense, but at this point you've put in what? Let's come over here. Let's go here. I think Fabrico. Fabrico for ZeroG. Okay, so the Fabrico ZeroG kit, you've got the CoreXY conversion, right? So this would add a new gantry, your linear rails. We'll need to look at the Plus with stainless steel rails. That's $270, and that gets you the CoreXY gantry system. Right? Then we would also need the Z-axis. So does he not have the Z-axis kit? I thought he had a full Hydra kit. Maybe not. Panel set. You would need you would need one specific for the Nebula. It is a different setup. Oh, here we go. So here's the Hydra kit. So we're at $270. plus the version for the Hydra is another $100. What all is in this? Corner brackets, couplers, console balls, magnets, cable drag chains. 510 for the plus, 400 for the pro, for the extra extrusion for the back. The MGN 9C rails, which are the ones that ride on your bed arms. So yeah, this would be the full thing. What you need to source still would be a Mic 6 bed plate, the bed heater, the SSR, the lead screws, Z rails, that would be the linear rails. Holy crud. So yeah, there's a chunk, right? There's a chunk thrown in there just to get it up to a basic point. Then when you throw in the Nebula frame, it's another couple $100. Then you have the I mean at this point, if you're doing it, you might as well just do the whole frame up. Right? You might as well just do the whole frame up. Which is kind of what we're doing. Hey Evil Diesel, how's it going? So we've pulled off the 1Z motor. We got it mounted to the plate. We'll go ahead and pull off the next Z motor and get that one ready to go. Actually, yeah, I'll pull the truck off now, or the arm. We'll have to, because we'll have to take some things off here to mount the, lead screw. We'll have to take that off. We'll have to take off the truck that does the kinematic for the bed. And we're probably going to have to swap some screws over because we're going from a printed part that's pretty thick to a part that is not printed. So basically we're going to start just trying to get these torn down, hardware and stuff swapped over, and getting it ready to go back on the other printer. And I'm trying to do one leg at a time probably, just because that way this T-nut and that lead screw have been melded together at this point, right? They are in alignment now because it's a palm nut and a palm coated lead screw, and they're going to wear specifically together, right? So that's what we're going to do, is try and keep these as a matched set. So printed part, heat set inserts, we'll have to swap those over. We'll go ahead and take off our little MGN rail here, which is also into heat sets, so we'll be able to recover those heat sets. And also the little 3D printed truck here. We can keep the 3D printed truck, and that saves me a little bit from having to try and get the magnet reset and everything else. But I did get those SLM printed as well. So it's kind of a, why wouldn't you swap it out if you've got it? Right? So we'll be able to recover 5 heat sets there, 4 at the bottom, or, like I said, potentially give this to somebody if I get rid of the frame. Or if they're going to build one, they can build one up. Okay, this is going to be that arm. What was that for? Hey, whatchamacallit? Turtle, what is this hole all the way in the front? And why is this extended out a little bit more? Inquiring minds would like to know. I did go out on the suggestion of TurtleCrawler because some of these are not through holes. And I did get a couple of spiral taps, you know, because apparently my straight flute taps might not be appropriate for this. Goodness gracious. Tap wrench. I do. So once again, spiral flute tap for an M3. And then do the right thing by your tools. Use a little bit of cutting oil so you don't dull up your new tap right off the bat. Cutting oil. These are not through holes. These are direct in. So we'll get a little oil and we'll just start process of tapping. Try and keep it straight as you go. Dialed in for the Centauri carbon. Nice. And when you say filament dialed in for the Centauri carbon, are you talking about the PCTG? You did see an Ender 5 Plus on Marketplace, but they're asking 300. It's actually not bad. I mean, it is a good sized printer. There are jokes. The other thing is, you know, just pay attention to how deep the hole is. Meaning, it's not that deep. So your hole's only that deep, so there's no need to try and sink this entire tap down in there. Just put a drop of oil in there, and then once again, make sure that you're trying to stay straight up and down while you get that tap started. Now the nice thing with this spiral tap is you shouldn't, well, I'm assuming you don't need to keep backing it out because it seems to be doing a good job of flushing it up and out, where a lot of your straight flutes you have to go forward, back out, go forward, back out. I did not drill the holes to 2.5, and they are definitely tapping fairly decently. I believe TurtleCrawler did make that suggestion that if they're too tight, then go ahead and drill them down to 2.5. But these seem decently well dimensioned. All of the hole jokes, yep. All of the hole jokes. Oh, hey, Barry Printer, how's it going? PCTG. The other thing with the PCTG Eel Diesel is 3D Fuel. If you go to their website, they have several Orca profiles already set up. So you should be able to go out to their website, and they will probably have a profile that will make a very good starting point. And you may even take a look at what they've got and what you put in, and see if there's some even better tweaks that you can make and get even better performance out of it. All right, so there's 3. There's 2 more to do. Like I said, this one down here, oh, I know what that one is. That's got to be for an end stop, to put a screw in as an end stop. Whoops. That was a lot. So Jedi Spidey, are we going to see you out there this weekend? Saturday, this coming Saturday is the next installment of our North Carolina Maker Meetup here in Raleigh at Ecovate 3D. Waters is going to miss this one, I believe, because he's got an opportunity to go out there to that open source gig. You don't have a place to stay in San Fran? Yeah. That's the other thing, is hotels in San Fran suck to begin with as far as pricing. And trying to do it this late in the game would probably suck even more. And I'm thinking I think I need to tap these. These will be through holes, and to mount, these will have to be tapped. Should have the final dice thing done up. Nice. Yeah, so by default, it's going to be right up against this, so this is going to be good, but I think this has to be the end stop pin to keep things from rolling off. So and I did not see a printed part in the files, so I'm assuming it's just going to be a screw of some sort, or that TurtleCrawler is going to be like, oh, there's a part that goes there. And once again, these are M3 taps. They're not big. So go for the feel. Understand the feel. The last thing you want to do is bust your tap in the hole. I know I've done it. Tapping my tapping extrusions for the rails and stuff. Really, really, really easy to break a tap. Really, really, really pain in the butt to get the tap back out so that you can finish tapping that hole. So just take your time, feel that resistance. And if it's starting to get too tight, just back it out a little bit. That'll flush the chips even more. And then keep cutting. You can keep going down and cutting. All right, and that one is all the way through now, so there we go. All those holes are done. Now we're just going to do the 4 holes back here. They're through holes, which should make it a little bit easier. Oof. If I can't do 2 of these at the same time. Come on, you get started. Carbon can do a single kit in 24 hours compared to something hours for the, something per part. Gotcha. The Mark III is still busy on 5 floor end. Gotcha. Well, like I said, the Mark IIIs are a little bit slower, but you now have 5 of them to bring to bear, right? So you've got scale there in numbers. Come on. These holes feel a little bit tighter than the ones up at the top. Darn it. All right. Come on. You'll drive, sleep in the van. The true California experience. Well, yeah, you can get a VW van. Drive out there in a little microbus. Gotcha. So you're going to build an IDEX next summer, eh? At least he realizes that you know, it's going to take digging it out of my cold dead hands for the rat rig to go anywhere. Okay. 2 more. Oof to me. Good deal of excess oil. You know what? This might be easier if I was doing it from the other side, because I'm assuming that this was downwards, which means it might have some elephant's foot. Get started, you little sucker. Oh, dude, I really want a K-van. I think we'll need a bigger van to get more printers in. Yeah, I know. Which one's left? This one's left. I can dream about the IDEX. If you weren't a brother, I could convince Miss Dragon to loose the rig one night. Oh, no. No, no. When are we going to Jerf to pick out a K-van for me? There you go. Definitely, we need to teach the younger generation, toughen them up a bit. Hey, I'm just following with what your boss said, which was that the maker meetup on the website was set for not this weekend, but next weekend. I haven't looked at the website. I'm assuming that the dates in the Discord, actually, I think the dates in the Discord, you just posted the pictures, so those should all be right as well. Okay, so this piece came in from underneath. So we'll try to bring this in from underneath. Yep, that's not working. It's really, really tight. So we can put it that way. come in from the top, or we can put it this way, come in from the bottom. And we will need we can swap the 10s for 8s. Say those are 10s, those still might be 8s. Hey, look at that. Those are 8s anyhow. So we're not swapping anything. We're going to put 8s on these. Again, we had washers on them before, so we can put washers on them again now. We also had only 2 on there originally. We could go ahead and put all 4 if we really wanted to. There we go. And they're just under the surface, which means they won't foul anything here. Our linear rail should line up, and our truck, for now, with the screw, is facing towards the edge. So we'll go ahead and get this started on there. Just kind of get that lined up and going. Okay, so I don't know if I did these deep enough because I may not have done these deep enough or done them all the way. Don't need to be all the way either. Hey, Moji, how's it going? Rating with a party of 7. Welcome in. Hey, TurtleCrawler. Yeah, longer M3s for safety stops. Oh, damn it. Speaking of which, I just broke the tap. Well, crap. It's a good thing I bought 2, but damn. I don't know if there's enough exposed to get hold of and try and turn it out. We'll see. That's going to be a no. Crap. So do we switch these from 8s to 6s when we do this? Because, I mean, the 8s look like they'll go down there, but Whoops. 8s fit. You think 10s will fit? I used the one that you sent me, which was the spiral tap, but I also did not drill the holes out to 2.5. So it could just be that it got tight and well, actually I was trying to back it back out when I snapped it. I was also dry cutting that at that particular point in time too. I was thinking I just needed to chase it a little bit further, and yeah, dumb idea, I know. So I'll have to figure out how to dig that tap out. Yeah. Well, and I feel like I'm getting all the way down. Because I'm hitting some major resistance. So these are definitely tapped as far down as they're going to go. Oh, I had the oil when I first did it. It's just when I went back in to re-tap to see if I needed to go further, I didn't use the oil. Ow. And of course, I had made the comment about be careful. It's an M3 tap, yada, yada, yada. And then I snapped one, so I guess I better go ahead and order another set so I have spares for the... I got more things to tap. Yeah, see, I don't know if you can hear this, but there's still movement there in that rail. So this one's tight, but this one's not. You know, like I said, I did not yeah, and I do have the drill taps, but a washer might do it. However, If I'm going to use a washer, I could also just use M3x6s and call it a day. And I'm going to sit down because my leg's hurting. Yeah. Because we're going to have plenty of thread engagement. It's not like we're hurting for thread engagement except for that last screw because, well, we yeeted thing into the hole. And once again, with your truck, the screw is from the bedside, we'll say. And quite honestly, this truck should never come this far to come off. Where you basically saying what? Just let this one sit a little proud. Have the three in the middle tighten down. Can't put one there because that's the one that's got a tap in it. And then the one in the back, just don't screw it down all the way so that it acts as an end stop because it's never coming back this far anyhow. If it is, you're better than I. It would probably be a 12 to get me enough threads. Oh wait, probably a 10 because six, 8, 10. Put a 10 down there, get a couple of threads through the bottom of that, and it'll sit nice and flush right at the top of the linear rail like that. Makes a perfect end stop. And I do have the metal trucks for it. I'm just sitting here like, do I really want to try and take this all apart? I'm being lazy. Partly because I got two different sizes, and heaven forbid they actually would have marked which size was which on here. Oh, look at that. 4.5, 11.7, 12.5, 4.5, 11.7, 12.5, 4.5, 11 by 7, 12.5. So hey, they're 4.5 and 11 by 7 or 12.5. Yeah, I didn't realize they were going to be marked on the bottom of the tanks. Tanks a lot. Of course, the ball is sitting on top of a magnet, so every time you think about it, everything goes right for the magnetized ball. You don't do one on the front rails at the back? Okay. Well, I will pop that one out and put one all the way down. Like I said, I didn't think there was going to be enough. I mean, there's enough room that it can slide off, but It should not. It should never have a reason to go that far. So the inner workings of our truck is a magnet, a conical magnet with a castle ball on it. So what I want to try and do is keep that from bouncing around somewhere. I'm going to take this printed part and looks like the smaller ones line up with my prints a little bit better. And then, of course, that hole will need to be, drilled out, or not drilled out. Well, yeah, probably drilled out and then lined up. But that doesn't fit down over the magnet. So we're probably going to have to try the 12.5. So that slides down over the magnet, but it's got a little bit of play there. So this one I think fits the ball a little bit nicer, but it doesn't come down over the magnet. So the 5 goes all the way down around my magnets, but then it's a little loose at the top. So was that why you were having to put washers underneath it? Was because it seemed like the ball was a little bit smaller, or I mean, down in there? Oh yeah, it does look like it's the metal print looks like it's about 0.5 millimeter to 1 millimeter taller. Yeah, just shim the vertical play out. And did you put it under the wash or under the magnet or between the magnet and the console? Assuming all the way under the magnet. We'd probably use an M5 washer. Yeah, under the magnet against the cart. Yep, and that'll do it. That definitely does it. So, like I said, we're taking our time. We're going to do these one at a time. That way we keep the, I'm referring to it as the match set between the palm nut and the palm coated lead screw that I have. We just really don't want to get them mixed up. They've been worn into each other now, so if I get them mixed up and swapped around, they will drive or could drive some artifacts that really are not necessary to try and chase now. So and I'm assuming we can go with smaller screws for the for mounting these back in the printer? Or were they the same? Did you make them thick enough that they're the same size? Yes, but M3.6s will work. Okay. Okay, so that's there. Now, technically, I can go and put this back on the old printer because what I have to do is just take the entire rail off and move the rail over. So, I mean, I can either do that or not. I think I'm just going to hold off, well, partly because I just put it back on there, of drilling these out. I mean, really, you're using that for what? Just the, oh, you're just doing that when you do the, brain fart like you wouldn't believe right now. You're just using it to lock it in place when you're first doing it, and then you're supposed to back those off, right? Because that's what lets the ball move around. And I'm going to gently take this truck off. And I'm just going to check on my lubrication here and see if I need to lube anything back up. I mean, it looks pretty good, like it's still good. Remember, we're also getting ready to enclose this where it was open air before. So because we're going to enclose it, it may behoove us to put a little bit of lubricant in there. Okay. That side. And I highly suggest you not do what I just did, but what I mean by that is taking it off the truck the way I did, but it's me. You know how we do it. You order the M4 hex standoffs, you won't even need that set screw. Yeah. Like I said, it's a helper to keep that ball lined up straight up when you go to put the bed on. So, like I said, I want to be able to take that other rail off and get it put in and lined up. Like I said, just do one leg at a time. Yes, it's more time consuming because I'm not taking it all off and then doing all three and then putting them all back on. I also am playing shimmy, shimmy, shake, shake with things, moving them around. So I am purposely trying to keep from doing it all in one big chunk because I don't have the room anymore to lay everything all over the place. So I'm going to lay this down. I'm going to work and take this rail off so we can transfer it over to the other printer. Same rail is going to go in the same location. So I'm pretty sure that this is all whatchamacallit, rolling T-nuts, so that'll be a blast. I'm going to be careful when I take this off that I don't yeet the rail, the carriage off. Somebody knows what happens when you do that. Come on, you little shit. Sorry, you little darn thing. I do need to find my rail guides. Should have. Because I'll need the 2020s, right? Or I'm sorry, 2040s to put these on. Is there a tools directory? Maybe I just didn't print the tool stuff. Or actually, I may have printed it. I just need to figure out where I put it. Because there should be alignment jigs. Let's see what TurtleCrawler is saying here in a second. Here's our rail. All of our screws. Put your glove on, so no freehanding the luber. Yeah. There are not really any official jigs. Yeah, I was looking to mount the rail back on because this is a MGN12 that's getting mounted. Goes on the, yeah, you know, it goes on the 2020 that's now installed on the printer. So I think normally the best thought would have been to do, or wait, no, that's 2040. 2040. Yeah. It's kind of like maybe should have mounted it before you do it on the, I don't know. I can't remember how I did the other one. All right, these are M3 roll-in T-nuts. So let me fish these little guys out. Because, you know, this is standard Creality V slot, so it's not like it's super duper tight in that slot. There we go. So we got those out. We're using these. These can go, maybe in a little baggie that I threw away. Little baggie. There we go. Like I said, I got 2 sets, so I'll be able to do the other one as well. All right, so that is one whole corner cleared out. So I'm going to be able to do the swap around again. Swap around being set that printer there. Pick this printer up, which is starting to get heavier. And we are working on the left front motor. Left front motor. This one. This is the front, so we're going into this motor. Now what we can do is mount our motor into the base first, and that notch right there is going to help play alignment with the lower end of our rail. So that might help give us a starting position. Now I'm going to need 3 M5 T-nuts. There's 3 M5 by 10. I'm running out of those are 10, but they're shinies. Do I have M5 by 10 non-shinies? No, I do not. Shiny it is. Shiny it is. Once again, we're going front left, which is down here at the base. It's going to go in like this. So we'll need 1 roll in on the front. And 2 on the side. 2 on the side, of course, are going into the 2040, and we know how much fun that's been getting them to fully line up. One, two, and then we'll get this one in there. Okay. And once again, I don't know how best to show that. Let me see if we can pull you all down here. So as you can see, there is a spot right down there that we can use to align our linear rail with. So that's what we're going to be doing. We'll do the thing that we normally do, which is get our T-nuts laid in there, and then we'll kind of align it with the rail. We'll start screwing things down, and then we'll slide the rail all the way down in that channel until it's up against the 2040 at the bottom. And that will give us our initial starting point for this rail. So once again, I'm just going to kind of lay this next to the channel so I can start laying in our T-nuts. And we know we want to go the top. Oh, crud. And this is the 2040 I'm going into, which means these are kind of tight and a pain in the butt. Might be the ones we start in from the top and just slide down. And what I'm doing is I'm putting half of them facing down, and then the other half are going to face up. If that makes sense. So once again, the hole is offset. So on 5 of them, the first 5 I'm putting in, the hole is facing down towards the motor. On the other 5, the hole is going to be facing up towards the top of the printer. And that way, when I get down here to the lower end, that very first one, I am well supported and I have plenty of area to work with. What we're doing is lining it up with every other hole. Or at least getting it pretty close. And then close enough that we can wiggle it back and forth or use the thing to get it aligned. And then we're going to skip we're going to skip 2 in the middle based on the length, because basically what we're doing is we're starting from the ends and working our way in, going every other every other screw hole. And that's what will give us the pattern that we're looking for. And like I said, I believe that means that we missed the two that get covered by the center here. And if everything is good, I'll be able to slide this right over the top. We're going to work on getting all of our screws here started, and then we'll go through, lock it down in place, and that should give us the ability to start working from one end to the other, lining this up. Sorry for the poor camera angles and for me like sitting down here on the floor. This is just the nature of this beast. Now we got them all started. We're going to slide this down, and it should go right in that channel there of our piece. Now I really need to get that one. It's just a shade too far in. There we go. So we're locking down the first one, basically using the printed, or the part here to lock it in. On the printed part, it's got a riser up on both sides that helps. And then we're just going to work our way from one end to the other, bringing it down, which should work any type of warp out through the top. Normally, you'll see me go from the middle out. By doing it this way, I'm hoping that this is getting centered and not kind of cattywampus. And it's going to be a while before we actually go and put this together, or have all of these done. So I'll have time, if I can find something for a 2060 or even a 2040 that locks into the other rail side, we'll be able to get that gap and make sure that it's nice and straight through the whole movement cycle. Now, we've got the motor mounted, we've got the linear rail mounted. We'll be able to take our truck and remount it. You said M3x10s, which was what came out of the old truck, should work again, Turtle? Hey, Hutch's Makerspace, how's it going? And these are 3D printed and appear to fit both MGN12, or I'm sorry, yeah, MGN12, but both H and C trucks. So whichever one you got, you'll be good with. Giving them a little bit of an ugga-dugga. Still moves fairly free. Now we can take and put our lead screw back in. So we're going to go through our palm nut. And that should line up right on the our spider cage here. And we'll make sure that that's clamped down really well. And I basically dropped it all the way down to the bottom. All right, so one side done and converted over. Now we just have two more to do. So once again, we've got our linear rail in place, we've got our lead screw in place, we've got our little truck in place with our stop, which is good. And one side down. We can go ahead and install that motor. And I think between now and the next one, I'll go down and get that panel and install the bottom panel, especially if we're going to keep flipping it over and over. It'll just help keep the wires from causing a tripping hazard for me. And I am probably going to have to extend some wires because, like I said, that rear motor is going right here, and this will be in the way. So this whole DIN rail does need to move over, which means I will have to redo the wires here that are going into that outlet, most likely. Because I do not think that outlet sticks out that much. One of the things that we could do is, speaking of the outlet, we'll flip that over like that, and we'll pull that outlet and plug and move it over. Should be fairly easy with 2mm screws, or with 2mm driver, that is. Not the 3, the 2. So there's our switch. And that's just going to pop right back in there. Screw that into place. The other switch, I think, is, yeah, just a press fit. Should be able to get that out. Ow. So there's our other basic switch. It just switches the load or the red line. So that, if you all remember right, will come in from the side leg over here. So we'll just feed those wires in. Push that down into place. And we'll be able to connect up the wires in that switch now. And if we remember right, it was black at the top, red in the middle, and then green at the bottom. Green or yellow striped green, basically ground at the bottom. And then our red line went back into our Wago. And like I said, this is going to have to move down. When we move it down, I need to get that switch in there to see how far I can move this down. We'll see how far we can move it and still keep that switch wire decent without being pulled way too tight. And provided we can get enough space for that motor to go down there, we'll be good. So we'll need the, oh wow, 3mm driver to loosen up the screws here. Okay. That's as far as I can move that without redoing wires, so I'm going to have to redo wires. Now there is an option based on where we're putting. We could do the Trident corner mount for the Wagos here, which will allow me to basically mount that right in this corner, which will allow me to get everything up there, and I may have enough wire play to still move this forward after moving these Wago mounts up here, because once again, this is all mains, and I can move this down, and if I need to, move it over to extend my wires. So that's an option. It's actually a pretty good option. It's a real good option. I'm just looking around to see if I have one already printed. But folks, it is 10:30. I have been running for a while. I'm going to kind of straighten some things up here. And what my plan is going to be is, let's see, I will leave the mess here because, well, why not? Going into the office tomorrow anyhow. So I think we're going to call it a day. Let's close up our oil. Maybe what I'll do is go ahead and tap these Yeah, that's what I thought. That's another right-hand one. I'm going to open these up and make sure that I do have all of the right ones and they didn't somehow screw me over. Okay, so one, there's a set, rear, and yeah, okay. So this is a set, that's a set. Let me wrap these back up. All right, so we got a second set here. These are the smaller trucks. I should have two complete sets of both sides of sizes of trucks. So these were for the 11 or the 4.5s by whatever, and then I should have the remainder in here. So there's the two for this one. One more there. One more there. One more there. One more there. So that gives me 6 here. So 2 sets at this size. 2 sets at this size. So I'm good there. I've got enough that I can definitely do basically the Hydra in all metal on the other one as well. So I can do that conversion. Yay. Let me put a few things away while we chat for a little bit. We also need to try and figure out, just go main screen here while we do this. We're also going to need to figure out a raid target for this evening. So, anybody have an idea of who we can raid into this evening? Or a suggestion? We got Cyber Jewels, that zombie guy, Astro Canuck, Jano's up and running. Moko, Jano, zombie. Yeah, it's a target-rich environment tonight, huh? Target-rich environment. I need to keep these at least so that we can give them to somebody else if they want them. So many targets, so little time. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo, catch a tiger by its toe. God, there's a lot of people that I follow that are on right now. Wow. Let's go see Jano. I know Liz is probably watching all 3 or 4 or 18 of them. So we'll go over to Jano. Check him out. So many targets, so little time. Using your favorite D&D saying, yep. All right, sounds good, Waters. Waters, I will see you tomorrow afternoonish, sometime after lunch. There might be a surprise stream tomorrow. There just might be a surprise stream tomorrow. So with that, we're going to be taking off. Thank you everybody for being here. Like I said, sorry it's a bit of a mess, but I really don't have room for these two big printers to have them sit side by side and just move from one side to the other. I appreciate you sticking with me though. I guess I should actually say start raid. We'll get that going. Hey, I see something moving. I wonder if that's his printer that he just rebuilt. But thanks everybody. I will see you guys later, and you be good. All right. We are definitely on for Thursday night. Tomorrow night might be a new one, right? All right. Hey, Steve, thanks. I didn't know you were still lurking around there. You're probably taking notes to send me an Instagram about doing things wrong, right? Teasing, Steve. I get all my good. I get all of my good ideas on builds from you. Never. Yeah. All right. In fact, do I? On one of my printers, I have your little den rail wire things that you designed. But, yep. Take it easy. I will see you guys next time. Definitely Thursday night. There might be a surprise stream tomorrow, although it's not a surprise now. But definitely see y'all Thursday night. And then Saturday, I'm at Ecovate for the next Maker Meetup. So thanks, everybody. Have a great night. See you over at Jano's. Bye now. And for those of you that listen to me ramble on tonight or were watching over on YouTube, thank you very much for sticking around to the end. If you wouldn't mind, if you like the content, please hit the like button. Feel free to subscribe. When you do, check or click on the bell to make sure you get notified of future streams. And speaking of future streams, YouTube's going to be suggesting one right over here. Thank you all. Have a great evening.